Perhaps we need more teaching of pre-colonial African history to understand the structures of society that were there, understand the majesty that was Africa, understand the hierarchies that were there, and the nonsense of the borders that Africa is. I mean, a great play would be a reenactment with backstories of the 1884 Congress of Berlin. When the European powers, with the Americans as an observer status, sat round a huge table in Berlin and basically got the pencils out and divided up Africa. And King Leopold never went there, but he stayed in Brussels the whole time and sent messages every day by carriage as to which bit of the Congo he wanted. It wasn't even for Belgium, it was for him.
It was for him.
It was his personal property.
This is what I'm bringing you back to now, which is slavery and colonialism never pays, and you always have to pay the price. And sometimes the price may not be paid right then. Unfortunately for our generation and our children's generation, it's us who's going to have to pay the price. It's now we're paying the price. So this thing that happened all that time ago is now coming full circle to us. And as much as the newspapers will probably do in the next little while, have to do everything they can to avoid the subject of slavery, it's calling. It's been calling for years. And slavery is something we have to pay back. We have to undo it. And all this nonsense about, well, we will never pay reparations. Well, I think in time you will.
The economic structures, the ownership structures and so on did not change at all.
Not at all. I mean, can you imagine, Jeremy, today, I went to Barbados in 1974. I'd just done something with Muhammad Ali, actually. And I went from there to Barbados to do because I was doing a film with Ali about the black Muslims. I wasn't interested in boxing. I was interested in the Muslims. And so I went from there to Barbados, and I saw, and they're still there, the houses they live in. The house they live in half the size of this room. And there were chattel houses that the slaves had lived in.
The same chattel houses.
The same houses. And I tell you something, I watched them doing polo. They had a polo game. Wow. The white rich were playing polo.
Very expensive game, polo.
That's right. And what they did, they sent across the polo field, ranging from about 5 or 6 years old to about 80 years old, whole series about black people on their hands and knees picking out the seagrass so it didn't hurt the horses' hooves. This was 1974. What? And do you know what I did? I stood there and I cried. I just cried. I just bawled my eyes out. I could not. I mean, I'm always crying now because it still hurts. And I just thought, my God, this is just humiliation. This is now your island, but it isn't. Because the same people who owned the island when it was a slave island are still the majority of people who still own the island today. Well, that's got to stop.
Your books mention Spitalfields and the support that the white working class gave to slaves that were freed and living in Britain but in danger of being captured by slave catchers. But also the solidarity that came later on, the Lancashire cotton workers, their solidarity with the slaves in the southern states of the USA, and at enormous personal cost to themselves. It's those kind of acts of solidarity that I think we need to develop.
We've got to get into the heads of people today that the majority of people from Africa, the majority of people from Europe had nothing to do with it. They were almost as enslaved anyway. And that what the people who were responsible for it have still got the money, have still got the estates, have still got their businesses. Our friends, our greatest friends for black people have been the white working class through the centuries. I mean, where was somebody who had won manumission? Where was he going to get a place to live? Oh, Mrs. Baroness so-and-so down in Belgravia? No. He went to where It was a white working class. When people arrived here again at the time of the Windrush, who rented rooms to them?
Andrew Levy's family lived around here.
That's right.
Finsbury Park.
That's right, the white working class. People like the Daily Mail have spent a lot of time trying to separate, putting one against the other. That's not going to work, because the more they try, the more this history is going to come out. And the best thing they can do is help it come out. The pain will be over quicker.
After the Bristol bus boycott, Paul Stevenson persuaded Harold Wilson to bring in the Race Relations Act, which was
65.
Yeah, that's right, 65. Yeah. I remember an argument. I was, 16, 17 at the time in school. I was supportive of the Act and what it was trying to do. People said, you can't change what's natural. And these boys who had grown up in predominantly farming communities in the Midlands, it was a small town, were sort of saying, well, it's all natural, isn't it? I said, no, it's not. They said, yeah, it is. And they were consciously or unconsciously deeply racist in their approach to all of this.
If you look at that and then you look forward, the United Kingdom is going to be a very exciting place because the United Kingdom is going to take on board these lessons. We haven't finished learning them yet.
No.
We've just only begun. And by the time we've finished learning these lessons, all the things that you see and people saying is natural today will be unnatural tomorrow.
Yeah. History is the most important subject.
Because history, as we know, is written by the victors. And they got away with it. Why? Because there's nobody there to challenge them.
So it is important to re-examine our history, learn from it, and make for a better and stronger future.
So support Double Down News
on Patreon.